You know when Mercedes Moné is involved, something special is bound to happen. Well, she's done it again, and the wrestling world is buzzing. Today, we are going to be breaking down exactly what that incredible feat is, what the unforgettable moment is that has everyone saying Mercedes Moné did it again. Get ready to witness the continued brilliance and impact of the CEO. Please do that dance. Let's get into it. Now, look, Mercedes Moné's impact on pro wrestling is absolutely undeniable, and her contributions extend far beyond her in-ring accolades. She holds a unique place in history. Think about it. She and Bianca Belair as the first two black women to ever main event a WrestleMania. This wasn't just a personal achievement. It marked the first time that two black performers had headlined WWE's premier premium live event, and it was a moment of profound significance. And it understands and underscores, I should say, the shift of representation within the industry given the current landscape of WWE. It was a landmark moment. Okay? Keep in mind, what makes Mercedes Moné is her consistency and her commitment to elevating not only herself, but others around her. Now, while critics may nitpick her work, her actions are demonstrated on a weekly basis. She's a dedicated person who is trying to put women's wrestling on a global stage and showcasing those performers who may not be familiar with the mainstream. Think about it. She has a long history of doing so. Prime example, Stephanie Valker. Okay. She worked for years down in Mexico, but it was until she got into the ring with the CEO at Forbidden Door in 2024, it elevated her status and it got WWE talking. Okay, keep in mind, Valker, she had been rejected by WWE after doing a tryout. Okay, but after working with Mercedes Moné, it caught WWE's eye to the point where they're like, you know what? Let's sign this woman. And now she has become a top star in WWE. She's currently the NXT Women's Champion and doing some of the best work of her career. Well, if it wasn't for Mercedes Moné, she wouldn't have gotten that spotlight. Okay. She's also been not only working in AEW, but she's also been working abroad. She's been working down in Mexico. She's been working in the UK. She's the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Champion. Think about that. Think about that. She's also working indie shows like House of Glory. She gave Indy Hartwell her first match since being released in WWE. Mercedes Moné is a talent that deserves immense praise, not hate. In business where stories of individuals hindering the progress of others, well, that is something in which you need to go away from. Mercedes Moné certainly does that. Okay. So, with all that being said, setting up the foundation, what is it that Mercedes Moné has done? In addition to all of her accolades, Dave Meltzer had a notable little note in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, I should say. So he noted that if she is on the AEW Grand Slam Mexico card on Wednesday, June 18th, she's going to make history. She's going to join a group of wrestlers to compete in four of the most iconic wrestling venues: Madison Square Garden, the Tokyo Dome, Wembley Stadium, and Arena Mexico. Okay? That is how significant this is. She will become the very first woman in wrestling history to compete at all four legendary venues. Okay. Now, she is the New Japan Strong Women's Champion on May 9th at Resurgent. She is going to be working a triple threat match with Azium and Mina Shakara. And it'll be her fifth title defense since dethroning Valkyr for the title at Forbidden Door 2024. She's also coming up on a big milestone within within AEW, as Double or Nothing will mark a 1-year marker that she made her in-ring debut. Okay, where she won the TBS title over Willow Nightingale. At that event, she's going to be in action. She's going to be defending her championship, her women's champion, or her TBS championship, against the winner of this year's Owen Hart Cup winner. Okay? That is significant. That is significant. She'll be competing in the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. But still, this is going to be a big, big match. Okay. I think if you look at Mercedes Moné and you look at the impact in which she's had in AEW and she's had the impact in which she's had on all these stars, I think it's very notable, right? Because when Tony Khan, he decided, okay, we're going to bring in Mercedes. Okay. She has a ton of interest. She has a ton of interest from AEW. She has a ton of interest from WWE. What is Mercedes Moné going to do? Well, Tony Khan made it very clear, hey, we're going to give you something in which WWE can't right now. We're going to give you freedom. You want to go and you want to have all these businesses, go and do it. You want to be the best American wrestler? All right, we are going to give you an opportunity to do so. You want to go work Mexico? You want to go work in the UK? We're going to give you those opportunities. It's up to you whether or not you do them, not whether or not we're going to allow you to do so. Now, WWE has been a lot more flexible in that regard, right? The only problem is I just can't see like a Charlotte Flair or a Becky Lynch, going out there and working House of Glory, right? Well, but Mercedes Moné, she can because she's in AEW, right? It was Tony Khan who believed, hey, we believe that you are a big enough star to warrant this check, which was reportedly the highest paid female star in wrestling history. But we're also going to give you the freedom to do whatever you want on your schedule. You are a true independent contractor type of thing, right? And that's exactly what they've done with her. And that's what she's done with this contract. I think people look at Mercedes Moné and there's a lot of criticism of her, whether, you think she's overrated or underrated and all this other stuff. And she can't work and she can't talk and her character sucks and all this other stuff. But it's like, if you look at what Mercedes Moné has done, she's actually given back to the wrestling industry, right? Because she is working with these younger talents and she's trying to get them over. Willow Nightingale, case in point, right? Like when they were at that New Japan match in 2023 and Mercedes Moné got injured in that match, a match in which she was supposed to become the first ever New Japan Strong Women's Champion. She got injured in that match. She made the audible of, hey, I'm not going to go over, win this title, and then have to vacate it. No. We're going to change the finish on the fly, and Willow's going to go over. That is not being selfish. That is looking out for the promotion. That is looking out for other talent. That is what Mercedes Moné does. So if you don't like her, you don't like her wrestling character, her personality, that's fine. But at least give her the respect I think that she has deserved in terms of being able to see around the block and see around the corner and get to the spots where they need to go, both as a performer, whether she's working with someone, or a promotion. Just saying, you got to keep that in mind when we're talking about talent, when we're talking about wrestlers, and as we move along within this crazy world that we call pro wrestling.